stench was overpowering.
Very, very pungent, sickening smell. The smell of a decomposing body, brutally murdered and shoved under a house for 30 years. This was a very violent and pure evil crime.
Imagine. You have sold your home. You are in the process of vacating the premises, clearing out any unnecessary clutter. You come across a drum in the crawl space. Believing it's nothing interesting, you drag it out. And obviously, you plan to peek inside. Popping the lid, you immediately notice a noxious stench. What you see is a stinky drum filled with plastic pallets, with what seemed to be a human hand poking through. What you've found was the remains of a young, pregnant woman. Hi. Welcome to Unnatural Deaths, where we explore the unnatural deaths of everyday people like you and me. Today, the unnatural death of the drummer girl, Reyna Angelica Marroquin. Ronald Cohen had recently sold his house. He was in the process of clearing out the place. He noticed finding himself in parts of his former home he never ventured before. In a crawl space, he noticed a drum. After retrieving the 55-gallon drum, he slipped off the lid. A sharp odor was released. Inside, the drum was filled with plastic pallets, with something hand-like poking through. What police found at the Jericho home was the mummified remains of a young pregnant woman. The cause of death: blunt force trauma. Some additional items was found, such as some green dye, 2 rings, one inscribed, M.H.R., a locket, inscribed, "To Patrice Love Uncle Phil," and a badly decayed address book. Investigation. The drum was dated to be manufactured in 1965. It was traced to a chemical company in New York. Residents could recall Howard Elkins and his family living there at that time. It was also noted that he was part owner of a chemical company, Melrose Plastics. They manufactured decor artificial flowers. An anonymous caller advised the Nassau County Police Department of an affair Elkins was having with one of his employees, a Hispanic lady. Police had to find Elkins. He had moved from his Jericho home in 1972, relocating to Florida. Forensics, working with the address book, was successful in retrieving some of the entries, but detectives was unsuccessful when they followed up. Everyone had moved, changed their number, or died. But one of the entries showed promise as a solid lead. The number belonging to Kathy Andrade. She knew the girl in the drum. Kathy met her in English class. But she strangely disappeared in 1969. Her name was Reyna Angelica Marroquin. Reina was 27 at the time of her death. Originally from El Salvador, she moved to the USA in 1966. She attended fashion school and worked at Melrose Plastics. Reina mentioned that she was pregnant, and that the father of the child promised they would be married. What worried Reyna was that he was already married, with 3 kids. She wasn't convinced he would follow through with his promise. Sidetrack. Not really reported on much, but Reyna was already a mom at that time. She would on occasion bring her child to work. No one knows who the father was, but co-workers believed it to be Elkins. According to Andrade, Reyna called the home of Howard Elkins, and revealed to his wife that she was having his child. He was furious with her actions, threatening her. Reyna disappeared shortly afterwards. The investigation. Investigation revealed that Elkins had hit Reyna on the head during a fit of rage. Detectives then theorized that he planned moving her body to his boat. It's believed he planned dropping the drum into the ocean, with Reyna inside. But after placing Reyna in a steel drum, and filling it with plastic pallets, it weighed over 350 pounds. Probably, as a temporary solution, he shoved it in the crawlspace, where it was found 3 decades later. Police arrived at Elkins' upscale retirement community. The then 70-year-old was not happy, having the police at his door. He denied any knowledge of the drum or its occupants. Elkins admitted to having an affair with a Hispanic lady, but he couldn't recall her name, or describe her. When asked for a DNA sample, to compare with the fetus, he refused. Before leaving, Detective Brian Parpin, from the Nassau County Police Department, told Elkins that he would get an order to obtain a sample of his blood. Elkins must have known it was over. At 70, jail wasn't an option. Because the next day, Elkins walked into a Walmart and purchased a shotgun. He was later found in a car, with the shotgun he purchased earlier, resting between his legs. Elkins. His community could not believe that the jovial man had a dark past. Taken from the New York Post, Frank Lonano, a neighbor, stated, "He seemed like a very sociable fellow." Arthur and Judith Eben bought the Jericho house from Elkins in 1972. "He was just not the type," she said. "They seemed like such a lovely family." Shockingly, the Ebens lived in the house for 12 years, unknowingly, with Reyna tucked away in the crawlspace. Finding Reyna's family. Oscar Corral, a reporter for Newsday, traveled to El Salvador to track down her family members. In San Martin, Corral found success. Reyna's 95-year-old mom, known as Grandma Marroquin. Her mother was devastated at the news. Corral remembered how crushed the 95-year-old mother was when Reyna's letters to her suddenly stopped, back in 1969. For the next 30 years, she never knew what happened to Reyna. Grandma Marroquin sadly passed away 1 month later. Her final resting place. Next to her daughter, Reyna.
Is it really that easy to get hold of a gun in the States?
Like, comment, subscribe.